All right, good afternoon. Welcome to today's NATSO Live webinar. My name is Amy Toner, and I'm NATSO's Vice President, Publishing and Digital Content. And with Pamela, we're putting together this week of NATSO Live education. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Pamela to thank our sponsors. I think you're muted, Pamela.
Here we go. I was following directions and then forgot to unmute, so thank you. So I wanted to let everyone know that we have two title sponsors, and they are CatScale and Federated Insurance. So thank you to those two great Chairman Circle members. Without them, we would not be able to have the Summer of NATSO Connection. So thank you for your support. CatScale has more than 2,000 locations across the US and Canada. There are no startup costs, and equipment, maintenance, and training are provided. Federated Insurance marketing representatives know the travel plaza business and can offer the correct and specific coverage, service, and risk management support that you all need. So please be sure and thank CatScale and Federated Insurance. And today, as you can see, DAS has sponsored our backgrounds all week. DAS Companies is a full service marketing and supply chain portfolio company. They're privately held and they work with designs, imports, distributes truck and auto supplies, travel gear, mobile electronics that offer safety, convenience, comfort, and connectedness to all of our retail consumers. So thank you to everyone who is the sponsor of this event.
Thank you, Pamela. Okay, just a few reminders before we roll the presentations. Please make sure your line is muted. We're going to take the questions at the end. You can drop them in the chat. And I wanted to make sure people knew you can send them to me anonymously if you don't want everyone to see them. We'll definitely want to take the questions at the end. To submit a question, use that chat. And after the presentation is over, Pamela Hayes, who we just heard from, will be our moderator. All right, let's roll the presentation.
Hi, everyone. We are really excited to be here today to talk about guiding customers on the path to purchase, but specifically in this post-pandemic world. So the world has truly been turned upside down in 2020, and we're here today to talk through how that has changed and what now is going to help to move product within your stores, how insights have been adjusted, how we've adapted, and then how we can really focus on re-engaging your customers after the year we have all been through. So my name is Gina Bonafide. I'm the Director of Marketing Communications for DAS Companies. I'm going to specifically talk through how we can influence buying in store, create reasons to buy, and leverage technology. And then how do we provide a true sense of community with our customers and truly engage with them and begin to nurture these relationships. I'm also joined today by Derek Lehman, who is the Director of Channel and Shopper Marketing for DAS Companies. And Derek's really going to touch on category trends and how needs of our customers have evolved and changed over, and through the year 2020. And what, they've been through and, different trends that we've identified. So going to touch on who is DAS Companies. Like I mentioned before, Derek will specifically hit categories and trends that have changed and evolved over the past year. What are people buying and what's driving them to buy? What's influencing to buy? And, how can we make sure we're creating proper environments in store that are truly going to drive this behavior? So that's what our agenda for today looks like. First, who is DAS Companies? Some of you may be familiar, but we're a full service supply chain and marketing portfolio company. Privately held, we design, import, and distribute over 12,000 products across mobile tech, truck and auto supplies, and travel gear. And our products are specifically focused for on-the-go consumers and making sure that they're safe, they're comfortable, they can stay connected with their friends and family while they're on the go. So really focused on these on the go conveniences. With DAS companies, we really leverage 5 distinct capabilities that we consider our core commitments. We have a line of proprietary brands called Road Pro family of brands that we'll talk through a little bit later. A full global product portfolio that include brands that customers literally ask for and request by name. Our flexible supply chain had over 12,000 products that are distributed across the country daily. And then our peace of mind business services, we really focus on helping to make the businesses of our customers more productive, profitable, and then creating a great partnership with them. And lastly, DAS Companies is a stewardship company, and one of our core commitments is a stewardship heart. So a certain percentage of our profits go direct to stewardship, and we are highly focused on moving forward. Derek's going to go through and start on category solutions that we offer with and through DAS companies.
Hello, everybody. Thank you. My name is Derek. And so to talk a little bit about the category solutions in which we play in the general merchandise world, we really group them into 4 primary buckets: mobile tech, travel gear, truck and auto, gift and toy. And we're going to talk a little bit more about those as we get into the insights. But these are the areas that we play in inside travel centers and convenience channel. As we talk about trends and what's been going on in the last year, you think about the pandemic and you think pre-pandemic versus current, and you've just seen an explosion in ecom. And specifically, even within convenience, the shoppers that are in those stores, we've seen a tremendous explosion over the last year with ecom memberships. So they went up 124% from 30% in 2019 up to almost 70% in 2020. So a real significant jump in the ecom world within convenience shoppers. As we talk also about trends with convenience loyalty programs, convenience matters. If you look at a national average, almost 57% of customers are in some sort of loyalty membership. And you look by region, they're definitely, they vary a little bit, with the Midwest the strongest at 68%. But the one thing that you look across this chart, loyalty membership is an important piece to convenience store shoppers. And then you look at trends in the last year, and if through 2020, this is the most recent report out for that came out here a few months ago for 2020, and total C-store sales were actually down about 18%, driven mostly by motor fuel sales being down 30%. The one piece that really helped buoy and the positivity within the C-store channel was inside store sales. So in-store sales actually helped mitigate some of that decline that you saw in the decline in people on the roads during the pandemic. And we're going to talk to you here momentarily a little bit about what categories inside the store had an impact. General merchandise, if you look at the top 10 categories inside of there, here's how the categories perform. So the sales is the bar, and then the change in what you saw is the orange line. General merchandise is a top category, actually was up 4.3%. So it's actually a positive impact to total store sales, and one of the top categories. It's actually slightly larger than candy and salty snacks, which we love to tout because there's one of the folks that we're always competing with for display space in store. But you know, positivity and definitely helped grow sales inside the stores in the pandemic. And then inside of the category performance and looking at the general merchandise categories, we really look at the 4 buckets, and these are the 4 that we talked about a little earlier, highlighted in red. They all had strong performance. And then you look at also the orange line showcases what the gross margin was with those categories. And this is, once again, this is data for all 2020 through our friends at Convenience Store News. But you know, great category or great share, as well as great margins to really enhance the overall profitability. There's a very, very big category. Obviously, it kind of captures everything that's not one of these other buckets. But you look at what are you planogramming in your stores, and do your planograms represent the categories that are being shown here? And if not, do you have opportunities to capture some of those sales? And a little plug for DAS, our team, this is the kind of stuff we can help you do as you're building planograms. Do you have the right mix? Do you have the right items that are going to help drive the sales and capture your fair share of those categories inside of your store? Some trends specific to some of these buckets. So I thought these are some pretty cool stats that came from Consumer Technology Association. There's an 11% growth projected for mobile electronics in the upcoming year. A lot of that's around the demand and the interest for new technologies. And that's even with some of the challenges you're seeing right now with the pandemic and shortages of products because of chips or other things. This is a pretty cool stat. Smartphone ownership is on track to surpass TVs for the first time in 2022. Think about that. So 91% of households have a television. Currently, smartphones are in 90% of households. With a slightly higher purchase intent in 2022, smartphones are on the cusp of actually outpacing home ownership over television. So that's a huge deal. And if you think about that from a storefront perspective, how does that impact you? Well, the more smartphones you have, the more cell phone chargers you need, the more earbuds you need to sell, all those different things when you're on the go and you need them. That becomes a great impulse purchase for inside your store. And then another pretty cool fact is wireless personal audio actually surpasses the wired earbuds for the first time. And that was this past year, where there's a higher household penetration on the wireless compared to the wired earbuds in 2021. So some pretty cool stats. Things to consider as you're stocking your store and choosing the displays and merchandise that's going to entice and drive purchases with your shoppers. Another category just to highlight is toys. It's a great category. When you think about who's shopping your stores, if you're a travel center, you have the diesel side, you have the gas side, and we like to think of the gas side. Really, you have your business and leisure travelers. When somebody's on a road trip, the Great American Road Trip this summer, as traffic's up, you think about toys, you think about reasons to help satisfy those kids on those long car rides. It's a huge category, $25 billion. It continues to grow. Over 3 billion toys are sold annually in the United States alone, with parents spending over $500 on toys per child. That's a ton of money. And the average price of a toy is about $10. So you think about, whether it's a plush toy, a coloring book, an action figure, whatever it might be, the average price on that is about $10. So think about number of toys, and are you capturing that kind of category inside of your store? Key growth categories in 2020 were sports toys, fashion dolls, building sets, and games. So just two examples of how do we look at the total store and how does it perform, but then inside of that, what are we looking at and leveraging inside of those categories around trends, and how are we leveraging that as we're building planograms and creating solutions for inside your store. Some examples of products and trends that we're seeing in top performers right now inside of each of these buckets. Some of the standouts over the past year for mobile tech were GPS devices and Bluetooth headsets, whether in-ear or overhead, both very, very successful. From a travel gear perspective, a lot of it was around comfort. So pillows and blankets were huge. Coolers, as people were doing road trips and spending more time on the road, was a big piece of it. Truck and auto, anything that was tied back into truck essentials. So you think about during the pandemic with a huge decline in fuel sales, diesel was one of the few that were on the road for a number of months. So anything with cargo straps and load locks and additives, all of those items inside of those truck categories were huge and a very, very strong performer throughout the year and year to date. And then finally on gift and toy, one of the big trends that we've seen was around plush. And just whether it's small plush, large plush, extra large plush. Plush was a huge player for us over the past year and a half, and something that definitely helps drive conversion inside the store. So with that, I'm going to transition back to Gina for a minute, and she's going to talk a little bit about how to influence buying inside store and pre-store.
Thanks, Derek. Hi again, everyone. We're going to start. So to really think about influencing buying in store. So a concept that has grown even more over the past, year and 6 months or so is really this idea of community. I mentioned earlier with DAS companies that we have our own proprietary set of brands called Road Pro family of brands, and that we have a passionate, a positive community of truck drivers, over 500,000. And we really focus on this community and serving our community as a trusted endorser for the lifestyle that we know our members live. So we know truckers have this unique lifestyle where they need certain products that are going to help them stay safe and connected while they're on the go. So we really focus on the community insights, knowing them and knowing the types of product that they require to be productive in their roles. So when we think about community building, it's really important for you to get to know your consumers on this personal level, especially post-pandemic. Consumers are coming out of, the past time period with a lack of personal interaction. Their interaction with brands have been limited to, virtual events, email marketing, social media. And, they're really hungry for these, relationships and these personal interactions with brands. So as we think about community, we know that consumers who join these communities and these loyalty clubs, they're more loyal and satisfied advocates for your brands. Most of them are more likely to recommend brands. 82% of them, if they belong to a community or some kind of a loyalty club, they're more likely to purchase the brand, 82%. They're, of course, more loyal to the brand, and they have a higher overall satisfaction when it comes to that brand. And of course, they have more trust. So you really want to think about your customers and how you can, bring them into a community when they enter your store. How is the experience? And really focus in on building this personalized relationship with them. Creating a reason to buy. So once they're in your store, again, you're focusing on this positive experience. How can we, drive them, even further and, provide them some immediate satisfaction? So digital promotion is a great way to do that. So we know, of course, again, post-pandemic, consumers have been and become very savvy when it comes to digital promotion. They've grown to love loyalty programs, promotions, specifically when they're delivered digitally. So consumers have become accustomed to receiving rewards, e-gift cards, and such, and even collecting points for rewards. They've become, to understand and accept redeeming these rewards through their mobile phone as very normal. And a lot of them, 85% of consumers will actually say that their experience was improved by the technology. So they've actually had a better experience when these promotions are delivered digitally. They're engaging more with these programs, and they're actually more satisfied when these programs with promotion are mobile friendly and delivered. So definitely consider digital promotion in your store, whether it's digital gift cards, whether it's through your loyalty program. And definitely consider how this immediate satisfaction can and will impact consumers' buying habits in your store. Another point, technology. So, of course, again, post-pandemic, during pandemic, technology just became so important with how we interact with brands, like I mentioned earlier, but then how we're obtaining information, to help us live our regular lives at retail stores, in restaurants. So think about pandemic, and for the end of the pandemic, how you interacted with menus at restaurants. So strictly, you would go and you'd pull up the restaurant through a QR code and you'd view options that way. And going to different retail locations, whether it's big box, home centers, you become very accustomed to seeing displays that have a QR code that allows you to go to certain information and become educated, or to find certain products that you're looking for. So technology QR codes have become, very widely accepted and normal as part of in-store point of purchase materials. So you see here, this is a program that we built for Blue Parrot that includes a QR code that allows, rapid shopping in store, and help, act as a silent salesperson and educate the customer on some of the features, how the product works, and, help them determine whether or not the product is right for them by utilizing the technology of the QR code right in store. And again, at the end of the day, providing a better, more comprehensive experience for the customer in store, driving that buying behavior. As we look at innovation, education, so important. Again, is this in-store silent salesperson. So this is a product we launched recently, a Bluetooth CB radio, first to the market, completely hands-free, distinct differentiation from what has currently lived in the marketplace within the CB radio category over the past several years. And, we really focused highly on how we can educate the consumer, in most cases, the truck driver, on this product and what differentiates it in the marketplace. So what we're looking at here is our packaging, and you can see we're very succinct in how we communicate, driving home certain points that are going to resonate with the audience. So we want to, again, be able to educate them in store with and through our packaging. And you'll see on the next slide just another example of the graphic we use. So thinking of icons and color, and how we can make sure that the consumer has all the information they need at their fingertips in store to be able to determine and assist them with their purchasing decision. As we look even further, we've been talking a lot about in-store experience. When we think about pre-store, we want to make sure that we are taking every opportunity with and through media to educate our consumers before they even arrive at your locations. So we have multiple media opportunities and things that we do with our proprietary brands to make sure that we're reaching our customers, and not only reaching them, but we talked about on the path to purchase how important it is to provide the right product in the right place at the right time to our consumers. When you think about media and content on these products that are available at these in-store locations, it's equally as important to think about content, not only delivering it to consumers prior to them entering your store locations, but you want to make sure that you are providing it to them in a way that they like to consume media. So whether that's through website advertising, whether it's through social media, email marketing, or whether it's in the form of a video, how can you reach your customers and communicate appropriate messages to them at the time they want to receive them, and with the appropriate type of media? So again, this goes back to what Derek talked through a little bit on trends and insights. We have to make sure that we know our consumers, and we know as much about them as possible before they even enter our store. So when you think about your store locations and specifically the trucker audience, we know that truckers have become very savvy when it comes to digital media. So over 70% of truck drivers are very active on social media. They are using smartphones as their primary means to access the internet. They are researching products through their smartphones. They are, interacting with email newsletters. Digital magazines are one of their top information sources. So we want to make sure that, you guys know your customers, know how they want to consume information, whether it's through email campaigns or social media. We want to make sure we know that and can distribute media to them appropriately. So just, knowing the customers and being able to communicate with them both pre-store and in-store in a way that they desire is crucial to be able to provide them with this positive experience that we talked about earlier that ultimately is going to influence their buying decision. And then this is just another example that we've created, again, back to the Bluetooth CB radio. We have different elements here in store that we have carried over this crisp, concise information to educate the customer on the product and how it's going to improve their on-the-go lifestyle, that we know they live. And then again, being able to utilize this technology through the QR code on in-store materials is just huge for the consumer, as they can access any and all information, whether it's video or other content, right at their fingertips with their smartphone while they're standing in your store locations. And I want to toss it back to Derek before we conclude, just to see if you have anything to add. But, thank you for joining us today, and we're looking forward to answering any questions that you might have.
Thanks, Gina. So as Gina said, we'd like to take the messaging from her group and bring that in store so it's a seamless transition for the shopper. And we bring those QR codes into the POP systems and would encourage you to leverage merchandising solutions and point of sale to help communicate that to folks in store as they use their technology to shop. Thanks everybody for your time. Have a great day.
So thank you both Gina and Derek for that great presentation. One of the things I think we have maybe a couple of questions that I've written down, but more importantly, anyone joining us today, if you have questions, please include them in the chat or send them directly to Amy, and we'll be sure and get those questions answered for you. So one of the things I noticed is you mentioned a projected growth in mobile technology sales. So what new products that they may not already have in the store that you recommend that they begin adding to their inventory that they can capitalize on that growth?
Absolutely. So I would say, as you look at the trend we were talking about with smartphones, I think anything that ties back into that smartphone is a welcome accessory. So whether it's to charge, to listen, anything that's tied back into that, because that's really their mobile device now. I mean, even watching videos on the smartphone. So anything tied into the smartphone and that technology that allows lifestyle on the go is a huge component. And with that, I would also say, as you're looking at it, think about different parts of the store and the path to purchase. That's a theme that we talk about time and time again. As somebody's coming in the store at the cash register, or if they're going by an end cap, look at the places where you're placing those products as well. That's really a critical component to the success of leveraging that technology.
I agree. Great points. You mentioned the rise in the toy category as we're all traveling this summer, and then of course getting ready for the holiday travel, and more families will be on the road with their children. So maybe you can help us know a little bit more about this category and how maybe we can merchandise that a little better through display or just adding more toys in general.
I would say with toys, I think with looking at the $10 price point, I think there's lots of opportunities to kind of play with the category, no pun intended. And I think with toys, plush is a huge component. We've seen a lot of success with plush. And when I say plush, if you've gone in a travel center, it could be the, $4.99 small plush, or it could be the $29.99 extra large plush. Those are just great things. but also look at different activity books or different types of toys for different ages. People in the audience can probably raise their hand. Number of people that are on road trips, and you hit that you hit the wall with the kids, and you hit a point where, as a parent, you're like, "What's it going to cost to get a little peace of mind as we continue the rest of our trip?" So I'd say, look at what offers are available to you. Look at things like shippers. Look at PDQ trays. Look at, once again, path to purchase, and really lean into a variety of toys. Take advantage of things that are ready, display ready. Things you can put out that might be a 12 count PDQ tray, because you don't have to overcommit to that, and it can be a very quick ring. So I would just say look at a variety of options, and some lower ticket items, but also take a chance on some of the higher ticket items and see how they do, and then adjust your mix. The other thing I would say is work with your retail partners, your distributor partners. And like at DAS, we would love to work with you, as I'm sure other vendors that you may or may not work with. Help build a planogram. Look at a 4-foot section. Look at an end cap. What is the best solution that they can provide you? So lean on the expertise of your partners to also build a solution that's best for you.
Very good. Thank you. So let's switch a little bit over to the digital ad conversation. We'd like to hear from you if there's any truck stops out there that are doing a great job with digital ads. And if you can think of a few, maybe tell us what's in your mind, what's working well.
Yeah, of course. So a lot of truck stops have adapted and really started to adopt digital advertising, whether it be advertising through social media, through websites, etc. There are a number of truck stops that do a really great job with their advertising. I would say some commonalities that they share, the ones that are successful, is that they're posting and they're advertising very regularly on a daily basis, and they're giving their customers updates relative to the truck stops, different events that are happening, different things that are going on, and just keeping them abreast of the happenings and offerings and savings that they can have at their truck stops. So that's number one. Number two is we have learned through our presence, our digital presence for Road Pro family of brands. This audience works really hard. They have a very unique profession. They're away from their families, helping to move America forward. They really value appreciation, just overall generalized appreciation for what they do, and how they support their families and how they support the nation. So we've learned a lot of just appreciation of the profession and of these drivers goes a long way. So definitely keep that in mind as you're advertising. Those are just a couple things, but they want to know what's happening in your truck stops, and they want to be appreciated for what they do.
I agree. Good points. So tell us why you think QR codes are back.
Yes, the rise of QR codes, right? I'll definitely say the surge is expected to continue through 2021 and into 2022. It was what would be considered a long dead relic, right? That has gained some new life in this what I'll call touchless world. And the beauty of QR codes is that they're very easy to use. You can use them direct through your mobile device, and it really gives you a lot of information right at your fingertips. So I do think obviously the pandemic has definitely impacted this surge, but the ease of use and just the reacclimation, I'll say, to the exercise of utilizing the QR code. And I think people have readapted it and are now utilizing it very regularly in this new world that we live in.
Very
Hey,
good.
Gina, can I just jump on that too? I think, look at the menus, like, right, you go to a restaurant, everybody has a QR code on their menu, right? People are used to it. It's now built into your phone camera. So you just open your camera and it takes you into the QR code. So we've not only seen, these alternative uses kind of coming to life, but as we're working with different vendor partners, as they're doing promotions in store, they're actually incorporating the QR codes onto their POP, like we showed you, not only with our product, with the Road King CB radio, Bluetooth CB radio, but other vendor partners are doing the same thing, because it's a great way to take a video content they have, and they can bring it to life. So to Gina's point earlier, drivers are a unique breed. I mean, they're on the road, and they shop the store a different way, and they have long layovers, so they have nothing to do sometimes, right? And they're in the store looking around. Well, it's a great opportunity if they have a couple videos they can watch to learn more about a GPS product or more about a Bluetooth headset. What a great way to trade somebody up and get them to buy a $200 electronic device or a $450 electronic device. So, I would say as you're doing what you're doing and you're making your product selections, look where they have content and look where you can leverage that content in your store as a silent salesman. That's going to help you drive your conversion and total sales.
Yeah, and I also think to add to that, with the pandemic and just some of the challenges it's caused certain businesses relative to staffing, this has been a great tool, to be able to make up for that. So I've seen it a lot in home centers and big box stores. There'll be pull-up banners that have, QR codes, and they can link to certain pages on their website, like if you're looking for a certain product. So I do think that has also, contributed to this surge as well.
Very good. Along those same lines, where drivers use their mobile devices quite often, you said that over 70% of professional drivers are very active on social media. So what should a truck stop take away from that? I mean, do you know, is it Facebook, Twitter? I mean, do you know what social media they prefer?
Yeah, so Facebook remains at the top of that list. Behind it, but not super close behind it, is Instagram. We as Road Pro family of brands launched an Instagram presence about a year and a half ago. We have had some success with it. But first and foremost, drivers are on Facebook. They're very active on Facebook. I mentioned before some of the tips and tricks relative to content that you can start with, but the key is to be genuine, to be true to your brand, and true to the identity of your store and location, always in social media, and then to be present. So be there to communicate, whether it's daily or even every several hours, to make sure you're there for your customers and have that live presence in real time with them through social media, because it's a great way to communicate and continue to nurture relationships and build relationships. And as far as other upcoming social media channels, we are starting to experiment a little bit with TikTok. Their drivers are active on TikTok, and like I mentioned before, Instagram and even Twitter. So Facebook remains at the top, but there's definitely other social media platforms that are starting to climb as well.
I want to ask each of you, I know we just have a few minutes left. So Derek and Gina, let's let Gina go first. If there's one thing or one takeaway from your session, whether it's about a product or something they need to do, what would you tell the Truck Stop and Travel Center owner? What is that one takeaway you would like for them to get from this session?
I would say to focus on customer experience in your locations. Make sure they're having a friendly interaction with associates. Make sure that, they're being welcomed to your location, and that they're finding what they need and, what they're looking for when they're coming into a truck stop. I think continuing to build and nurture these personal relationships has become more important than ever in this post-pandemic world. So customer experience and focus on that would be my answer.
Very good. Derek, any thoughts?
I agree with what Gina said. My spin on it would be, I would say trends. Look at trends, understand the trends, leverage every resource that you have available to yourself to understand those trends. Folks like NATSO, your distributor partners, anybody you purchase product through, and then just read a little bit. Really important to understand kind of what's going on in the world, and just try to take advantage of those trends, because that's what's really going to allow you to differentiate yourself. And then to Gina's point about really communicating, you can now, if you start doing Facebook or things like that, now you have content that you can share with them, create awareness that you have the solutions that they need, the solutions they don't even know they need. So trends is a big thing, and that's something you always want to make sure you're keeping yourself educated about.
Very good. Thank you both. Amy?
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I'm writing this down. These sounds like good topics for NATSO Connect in Orlando.
Yeah.
Yeah. Customer experience is my favorite. Okay. Well, thank you to everybody. Same place, same time tomorrow. We're going to have an economist who's going to talk trends in economy. It's going to be great. We really appreciate you guys. Thank you.